Je ne suis pas contre tous ces projets de renouvelables, voilà. Mais il faut les implanter dans des endroits où on ne détruit rien.
There is an opposition in France, but a minority.
On veut nous en mettre là ici, on veut nous en mettre en face de la maison. Donc je le ressens vraiment comme des envahisseurs.
Hello and welcome to a new edition. I'm Nadia Sharbi, and this week you join us at the heart of a wind farm as we put the focus on France's growing interest in this particular form of alternative energy. Despite being Europe's second windiest nation, the country is far from making the most of its potential. In 2015, an ambitious project was launched to wean France off its long-standing dependence on nuclear power and reached a more balanced energy mix set to include 40% of renewables by 2030. But as observers warn, the country is far off that target. Authorities plan to speed up the deployment of wind farms. From 15 gigawatts at present, France hopes to generate 25 gigawatts by 2023 and 35 gigawatts by 2028. Well, while environmental awareness is on the rise, not everyone is on board with seeing a wind farm crop up on their doorstep. And even the promise of cheaper energy and lower local taxes isn't always enough to soften the visual blow.
It's taken a project for a few dozen wind turbines to bring together this unlikely duo, a hunter and a member of the Bird Protection League.
We share the same fight, but not the same goal, not surprising.
These marshes are classified within the EU's protection network. Migratory birds fly over them, and the League fears they'll be disturbed.
There's a barrier effect. When wind turbines are in a row, it means the birds take a long detour to avoid them.
French company EDF Renewables has its eye on this spot, Europe's biggest estuary in France's Gironde department. The project involves wind turbines of 180 meters high, more than half the size of the Eiffel Tower. Inconceivable for some residents.
I'm not against these renewable energy projects, but they need to be put in places where they won't destroy their surroundings.
Is damage to biodiversity and landscapes the price to pay for the transition to clean energy? In this village in the Somme region, the transformation of the countryside has already begun. Today, 50 machines measuring 150 meters high are spread over 10 kilometers squared. Over 2 years, the number has more than doubled.
Bonjour, madame.
Danielle Lucet bought this house on the edge of the village 35 years ago.
This is where we have the best view across the park. Since the invasion arrived, there it is. Because gradually they come closer and closer. There are days when the noise is unbearable.
But for local authorities, wind turbines can mean business. In the town of Quesnoy, 15 of these metal giants have been installed.
It allows us to refrain from increasing taxes and at the same time to invest. The proof is that we're in the process of installing water sanitation from the end of January, and the cost of water won't rise by much.
But not everyone agrees. This regional president is critical of the wind farm sellers' methods.
In these cases, it makes no sense. There are guys that walk around the countryside, they say, oh, there's some wind here. They go to see the farmers and suggest installing wind turbines, and the mayor sometimes gets ripped off because he thinks it will bring resources to his town.
Several trials are underway, attempting to stop the expansion of wind farms. But they have little chance of standing in the way of this growing trend.
For more on France's wind energy plan, I've come for a chat with Raphaël Gerson from the Environment and Energy Agency, ADEME. Raphaël Gerson, hello, thank you for being with us.
Hello.
Who actually owns and operates the turbines in France at the moment?
Well, for the moment, it's the wind farm developer. So you've got large or smaller energy groups that develop the park. But now it's true that you've got this opportunity for collectivities or citizens to actually also invest in the park, and not only invest, but actually be part of the governance of the park. And therefore, that means that local people and local collectivities will be involved right from the very beginning to make sure that the park is fully integrated into the local landscape, takes care of all the different aspects, and to make sure that actually, which is the most important, the park being built will have economic and social benefits for the local people. This is one of the key success factors of Germany, that has 50% of the wind farm project being citizen project with people actually involved, people or collectivity actually involved in the governance of the park.
And we see a growing awareness here in France about environmental issues, and yet there is a NIMBY effect.
It's interesting you're saying that, because the NIMBY effect is not that strong. According to a lot of polls that are being made on this topic, the polls are showing that 73% of French population has a very good opinion, 73%, a good opinion on renewable. And actually, this number goes up to 80% for people that are living not far away from a wind farm. So the NIMBY effect is not that strong.
Looking though at offshore turbines, why is France so late on that particular front?
I just would like to put in perspective the fact that there is not so many offshore wind farms all over the world today. It's not like onshore wind, because it's much more complicated to put wind turbine in the ocean. Most of them today exist in Northern Europe with shallow waters. But it is true that it will be an important lever for renewable growth all over the world in the coming year, and especially in France, that has such a strong potential. So France has launched 2 tenders for 6 projects, and 2 other are being actually investigated, and has set up targets of reaching 3 gigawatts by 2023 and more than 5 by 2028. So it is being developed. It has been delayed, and therefore things needed to be simplified. And France has taken an example of what's going on in Northern Europe and put several simplification into place, what we call a competitive dialogue, which means that all stakeholders are being involved right from the beginning of the tender, so that when the winning consortium has been determined, it's got already all the permit and all the authorization to build the park.
And is there much French investment in R&D regarding wind power?
Yes, there is. And I could, for example, mention the Investment for the Future program that has been developed for all future technologies. But the renewable energy is a very important chunk of this huge investment program. A topic we're talking a lot right now is recycling. This is going to be an important topic from 2025, because usually wind farms last 25 years, and they've been installed in the beginning of 2000. So in 2025, the volume are going to be more important, and this is going to be a very good opportunity to create a real recycling industry that will create growth and jobs, local jobs in France.
And hopefully France will be at the forefront there. Raphaël Gerson, thank you very much for having spoken to us.
Thank you.
Well, as we've heard, France's efforts to make the most of its vast coastline are slowly starting to pay off. And the country's first offshore wind farm is set to start spinning in 2021. But even at sea, you can't escape the NIMBY effect. Take Normandy's fishermen. They're taking their Don Quixote crusade against turbines all the way to Brussels.
A few years from now, some 15 kilometres out to sea, a wind farm should rise above the waves. For local fishermen, it's a nightmare. They fear the 62 planned turbines will threaten their fishing in the area.
It means fishermen will not be able to go there. All the fish have certain areas for reproducing. If we destroy this area, what will be the ecological impact? It's a lack of respect towards the fishing community on the part of developers.
The only thing we've been told is that there will be compensation. But we are not here to be compensated, we are here to work.
The wind farm project was set in motion 5 years ago. But the Normandy region did not give the green light to begin the building work until last February. The reason? Repeated lawsuits by environmentalists, residents, and fishing professionals.
The wind farms are separated by more than a kilometer of space. There is space for both navigation and fishing. This has always been our objective.
After 2 years of legal wrangling, planned wind farms off the islands Noirmoutier and Île-d'Yeu have now been given permission to start construction. 62 turbines will be built 12 kilometers from the coast. Right now, no offshore wind farms exist in France. The country is lagging far behind others like Britain and Germany. Its many administrative steps are a great deal more complicated than in neighbouring European countries. France, however, does have enormous potential, with 3,500 kilometres of coastline and 10,000 kilometres squared of usable area in all. There are two types of offshore wind farms. Fixed turbines are anchored on the seabed, up to a maximum depth of 40 metres. Then there are those that float. These are anchored by cables to the seabed to depths of 250 metres. Floating turbines are installed about 50 kilometres from the coastline and are more suited to waters like the Mediterranean, where the continental shelf drops away suddenly. France's first and only floating wind turbine is off the coast of Le Croisic. It began generating electricity last September and in time should meet the needs of 5,000 French.
Well, with that, we leave this edition. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to France 24.